Welcome to Issues and Answers with Diane Kinderwater. Issues and Answers is presented as a public service to inform, educate, and better the lives of New Mexicans. And now, Issues and Answers with your host, Diane Kinderwater.
Welcome to the program. I'm Diane Kinderwater. Thanks for joining us. You've probably heard the adage, 2 is better than 1. Well, not in all cases. Like 2 64-ounce Cokes aren't necessarily good for us. 2 candy bars aren't. 2 speeding tickets aren't good for us. But when it comes to raising a child, 2 good parents tends to be best for the child. But in many cases, there aren't 2 good parents to raise a child, and the children have to look towards foster care. On the program today, we're going to talk about 2 organizations that now have joined as one to help support those children and those foster families. We're happy to talk about the New Mexico Friends of Foster Children is now the Foster Alliance. They've joined, and we're going to talk about their joining, 2 becoming 1, how much better that is for foster families here in New Mexico and the area. Please stay with us. We'll be back right after this. Here on Issues and Answers, we know how important the family is, and of course, important for all of us because the children are our future. All of our children are important, and again, having that 2-family household is the optimum. That's how they were created, but that can't always be the case, and that's where we have the foster family stepping in. And there are about 3,000 foster families here in New Mexico. And guess what? Like all of us, they need support, and they've been getting it from 2 organizations, which have now joined as one. And I have some representatives and a volunteer with me today, and I'm so happy to introduce you. Jamie Carlson, the beautiful smile, she's with the Foster Alliance, and Linda Palco has been a volunteer with the Friends of Foster, which is now, both of them are the one organization, which is the Foster Alliance. Welcome to the program. How rewarding your jobs are, you as a volunteer. How wonderful. Tell me about the joining of these 2 organizations.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Diane. We're so happy to be here. So as you shared, there's a lot of need out there within the foster community. The Foster Alliance is from Arizona. We've been around since 1998. We came from a core belief that every child deserves a safe and comfortable place to sleep. So we've really started with beds and supporting these families, and have since grown to provide essentials, right? Toothbrushes, clothing, and we're now serving over 8,600 children throughout Arizona, and that expanded into New Mexico, and we had the incredible opportunity to come here, and we knew the amazing things that New Mexico Friends of Foster Children has been doing, and the opportunity came to us to, hey, can we be stronger together? And bring the things that we've found as an organization and really come through and serve over the 3,000 children that are in need in New Mexico. And now we've combined and we're one, and we're incredibly excited.
And the Foster Alliance, I think you've been around since, what, 1998?
Yes.
And again, here in New Mexico, we had the New Mexico Friends of Foster Children.
Yes.
And now that is called the Foster Alliance, which is based in Arizona?
Yes.
Okay.
And Albuquerque.
And Albuquerque now.
Yeah.
Very good. And again, the mission is to, first was provide a safe, of course, a safe bed for these kids.
Yes.
Because I understand that foster families are paid by the state to take in children to help them while their own biological parents cannot tend to their needs, the children's needs. So the state steps in. People are licensed as foster parents, and they are paid for that. But sometimes they don't have everything that's needed.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, the support is amazing. The other thing too is the mental, right? The time to prepare for that. It can usually be a very short window when they get a call. And what a lot of people don't think about within the foster system is there are licensed foster advocates that will come through, and you know, they have a passion for service, they have a heart to serve, they know that the foster space is what they want to be in. But especially here in New Mexico, about 50% of the families and children that are in foster care, what's called kinship. So think about that as an aunt, a grandmother, or grandpa. So you know, they're thrusted into this parenthood, this motherhood role again. So
they may have donated all their children's things to
Exactly, right?
other family members and they no longer have. So you said 50% of the children in foster care are with kinship.
Yes.
A relative
currently
or a
in
friend.
New Mexico. Yeah. It's
Okay.
the majority of the families that we serve, and we very much believe, they are the true heroes, right? So we want to come in, and especially if you have multiple kiddos, think about beds alone, that's mortgage, that's rent. And so we want to be there and make sure that we can provide those items.
And that's what you found the need in 1998 of providing, to begin with, the beds. Okay, we're going to talk about more of the service, but also is very much needed, volunteers, such as we have.
Yes.
You've been volunteering for 2 years.
Yes.
Why is that?
So I have a family of 4 children, and we are very fortunate. They have 2 parents, we have a stable house, and I want them to understand that not everybody does. I want them to understand that not everybody is as fortunate as they are. And so I got the 2 younger kids involved. They wrap presents for the foster kids. They make cards for the foster kids so that the foster kids can have a fun birthday. Someone out there is thinking of them. Someone out there is loving them in whatever way they can.
Linda Pell, where did you come up with this idea to share with your own children? There are other children not as fortunate from your church. Where did you come up with this idea?
I've always tried to do what's right for my community, and so I want my kids to do the same thing. And so this is one way to do it.
So really your family has been volunteering for the
Yes.
foster program,
Yes.
and you're going to continue with the Foster Alliance.
That's right. All 6 of us have gone at one point or another. And so me
What
and
are
my
you,
husband...
so what are you doing? You have 6 family members, so all of them.
Yes.
Tell me what you're doing.
So we typically go once or twice a month to the office. We buy presents. We pick out presents based on what the child likes, what the child needs, the interests, like do they like STEM toys? We pick out a Lego gift. Or do they like to read about sports? So we pick out a sports book. And we wrap the presents and we package them either into a box to ship to the family or into a gift bag that gets hand-delivered by someone who's cleared to know who the foster kids are. And so then we also make a birthday card. And sometimes we put in a birthday party package. So that's a cake, muffin pans, muffin cups, those little paper cups that go into the muffin pan, streamers, balloons, what have you, that makes a sort of a party for the kids so that they can open their present and have a little party.
You started with the Friends of
Yes.
Foster, and now you're with the Foster Alliance,
Right.
doing all this.
Yes.
Where's the office? Do you welcome volunteers? I mean, they come to your office.
Yes. Yep. So they're able to come in. Right now, in full transparency, we're going through that transition, right? So it depends on the timing of when we have staff there, but they can come into the office. We also have a lot of remote opportunities for volunteerism as well. We work with individuals, church groups, community groups, schools, a lot of corporations. It can be as simple as, again, collecting the items, hosting a drive, putting together like the birthday party in a kit, as Linda mentioned.
I think she's got the best job. Her and her family have the best job of doing
Yes.
this. So all of the support. So let's go back, please, Jamie,
Yeah.
to the support. We heard basically was beginning with beds, and tell me now what kind of support, and mainly the kinship families are needing these things. So what does the Foster Alliance provide?
We have
support-wise?
a few different programs. When we talk about hierarchy of needs, first and foremost, we want to focus on essentials. So our essential needs program, making sure that the children have the bare necessities. And again, I will also say the majority of families that we serve are kinship, but it's really the foster community at whole. So we also partner directly with Caseworkers and the CYFD here. So the Children and Youth Families Department, they're a direct partner of ours. So we want to make sure that kids know we're here, right? But to go back and to answer your question, it's the beds, it's the toothbrush, the toothpaste, body wash, there we go, shampoo, conditioner, brand new clothing, diapers, wipes, pull-ups. Gosh, do we need pull-ups. Shoes. So again, and I will say too, something that makes us special is everything that we provide is brand new. Yes. We made that shift a few years ago.
Wow.
And, there's an incredible amount of resources where families may be able to go and get some used clothing and things where
From
the
the
community
church,
is
from the
amazing,
yeah,
right?
of course.
But what we found is there were very limited, if any at all, places where they could go and get new. And especially within children within foster care, we believe so much in providing that worthiness, right? You are worth a brand new pair of clothing, that self-confidence, that dignity that's going to be within that child. And so that's what, if I may, that's what makes us unique and really special, and then is a big part of that core programming.
What other programs do you offer?
We also will, and I'll let Linda kind of just touched on it, our Birthday Dreams program.
Okay, Linda?
Anything else you want to highlight?
The families fill out a sort of like a questionnaire to let the volunteers and the office know what kind of things they're interested in, so that we can find something that would go right up their alley, so that the kids like what they get. And so as volunteers, we actually donate toys and donate books and donate all sorts of different gifts for kids from toddler all the way up until high school, so that every age group is covered in our stash of birthday presents, basically. Yes. And so then the volunteers go in and they shop for those gifts based on that questionnaire, so that the kids get something that they really like.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a gift card to Amazon, so they can actually pick out their own thing. And sometimes it's wrapped presents.
Yeah. And if I may piggyback on that, program is so near and dear to me because, and you can have probably shared this as well, of I will never forget the very first birthday I filled out was for a 17-year-old boy. And in those special notes that we received, it was from a caseworker. He was in a group home setting in congregate care, and it was the first birthday he'd ever celebrated. So I think all of us can attest that birthdays are incredibly special, but they are, if you may even think about, they're magnified to children in foster care, and to know that someone has went out of their way to hand pick these items, to hand make those birthday cards, right? It really goes a long way. And then we've also
How long has that birthday program been part of the Foster Alliance, do you think?
Gosh,
quite a while.
Over 15 years.
They
I
knew the
believe.
importance,
Yeah.
how important
Yeah.
that is. Okay.
And so the gift bags also are hand decorated. So they have stickers or drawings or messages, ribbons, all kinds of things to decorate personally for that child.
Yeah. How long do children tend to be in foster care? Is there any average, or I know each
really
case is different. So tell me a few different cases.
It's very
Jamie.
fluid, and a lot of it will depend on the market, kind of depending on if you're in a rural area. We'll also go through and depend on how many advocates are there. Also within the child age range as well. So it's hard to say. And we just really want to make it easier when there is a goal of reunification, or to make it easier to get that child placed is where we come in.
So once they're placed, your job is with the foster family.
Yes.
To make it a positive experience and easy for them, which is not. Dealing with kids is not easy.
Yes.
It's a big responsibility to take on a child. And if you don't have the bed, you don't have the clothing, you don't have the things that they need to get through the night, it's hard. So the Foster Alliance is trying to make that easier.
But we know with our own children, it's tough, correct?
Yes.
And then taking in others,
That's
if you're not
right.
prepared, is even
Who you might
more
even know
challenging.
very well.
Especially
Yes.
a child who might be under traumatic experiences
That's
and,
right.
and all of that.
Yeah.
The calming effect that they are needing
Yes.
that first night is very critical. So no typical case, but from babies to 18-year-olds?
Actually, we serve up to 21, and then there's some programming here in New Mexico and Albuquerque as well, through 26, through some scholarship programs as well, where we know as, children, whether they're aging out or they turn 18, they can actually elect to stay within foster care. So there are some additional support they may need, whether it be getting their feet into their first apartment, setting up a
Getting
bank
their
account,
driver's license, that's
right?
the big
yeah.
one.
So we do actually serve them after they turn 18 as well.
If they're still in foster care?
Yes.
Okay. But once they transition back to their family or back to an adoptive family, what happens? Then it's a different organization will take over from there.
Yeah, again, that's a little nuanced question. It depends on, whether it's an adoption situation or whether they go back to their family. They're still going to have their caseworker and that relationship there to kind of pass along those resources. But for the Foster Alliance, we're really focused on that foster space and those essential needs when they're, in that in-between along their foster journey.
Jamie, what else? What other programs do you have?
We also have a program as well for some seasonal needs as well. So in addition, we support education and making sure the children have everything that they need when they go back to school. So back to school is a big time for us. And that's everything from, I always think about back to school, the first day of school is everyone's eyes are almost on your outfit, right? What are the things? And so making sure that we can provide the shoes, the outfit, but then the backpack, the school supplies. We actually do that year round because if a child is placed in a new home, that may mean a new area, a new district. So they could be starting a new school even in January if it's not back to school time. So we have the backpacks and supplies year round.
And I imagine you need volunteers.
Yes.
Such as this young lady here.
Yes.
So I found the Friends of New Mexico, Friends for New Mexico's Foster Children on the City of Albuquerque's volunteering website. So it was in a list, and I just went through the list and picked them out. So I don't know if we're still on the list as the Foster Alliance. So if you want to volunteer, join us. Find in that list how to contact. There's a website that you can sign up and volunteer.
Wonderful.
Linda, you've talked to other volunteers.
Yeah.
What types of things do they do?
So as a volunteer, sometimes we do inventory. So when we'll have a toy drive or a clothing drive, we as volunteers write down and count every single item and sort them out. And so the office has an idea of what kinds of things we have and how many of those things that we have. So that's one thing. Another thing we did back in December was we had a toy drive, Santa's Sleigh, I think it was called. And so people could drive up, drop off toys, and then we did inventory for that as well and sorting. And we try to make sure that the toys are not violent, so they don't have guns, also we try to make sure that the books don't have a mother story or something that might be sensitive to the child.
Very good, very good. How many staff people do you have and how many volunteers are you expecting to have?
Oh my goodness.
That you're joining?
Well, there's never enough volunteers, I can say, and I think Linda's passion, I would be remiss, our organization is ran from volunteers. They are the lifeline of what we do. They are the passion and the heart, so thank you for that. Our staff right now is around 18, so we are nimble, and that's between Arizona and New Mexico. So here in Albuquerque, we have one staff member right now. We're looking to grow that to 2. And then we have individual volunteers around 10 to 20, and then hundreds of different corporate partners and organizations and donors and things that, again, make it happen.
What have you learned? What can you share what you've learned in Arizona and that you're bringing those ideas to New Mexico now that you've joined with the Friends?
Yes. Well, I love that you asked that question because that is really kind of the entire idea of us coming together, right? Knowing that we can be stronger together. Those practices and those lessons and things that we've learned in Arizona, we very much like to listen to the community that we serve. So a great example of that is shifting our service model. So making our doors open to the public that need us so to come in and provide the items. But then,
what do you mean by that?
so we have a boutique model. in Arizona. So we went from hosting everything from an appointment to families to be able to walk in. We're not quite there yet here in Albuquerque, but we have big dreams, big goals. But we've also been able to really listen to what are those needs, and knowing that it's the entire state and the needs are different in every area. So a great example of that is getting a mobile unit. So when we saw that increase through our doors, then we also knew, okay, it's more than the metro area. And we do know that that is that's very much in New Mexico as well, right? So we'll be getting a mobile unit that's going to allow us to help take our services directly into those rural areas.
Do you do that in Arizona?
We do. Yes, we do that.
And so a mobile unit would be like a mobile mini
like a big
boutique,
van. Yep.
but
So a little
boutique.
van, and it just helps us carry the beds, the items, hygiene items, clothing, and then take them directly there. One of the biggest things that we learned too is we never want a child or a family to get the resources that they need because there is a barrier like transportation, or maybe because the family is working. And if we were to host a community event where we're giving out, like for instance, back to school, right? We tried a lot of different events, what we called a pop-up, where we encourage the community to come. And some people couldn't come because they were working or they didn't have a vehicle. So what we did is then we turned to directly our partners like CYFD, right? And ask them, what do you need? And let's go bring the supplies to you. So we have worked with those partners now. So we have beds there that are open for our families to
Especially
go through and
beds. I
take.
mean, that's pretty tough to be
Yeah.
able to pick up a
We've
bed.
already-
So have you always delivered the beds?
Not always, but as of recently. So again, that was part of the big service change we made within the last few years. We've already delivered items from Roswell, all the way, across the state. So it's been exciting. All the way to Gallup. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
What would you like to share that I haven't touched upon? Linda, what would you like to share?
I would say that the volunteers don't know the kids. It's a private information of who the kids are. We don't know their names. We only know whether it's a boy or a girl and their age. And so we don't know where the gifts are going. We don't know, we have never seen the child, and we don't know their name. So we can't make the connection as to who in the community this is. And so it's very private for the safety of the children. And I think that's probably a good thing. And so as a volunteer, we just do it because we love kids. And we want all kids to feel loved.
So you don't really have any anecdotal stories about
No, I don't.
the kids?
I
but
don't
about
think I could handle all the stories.
What about your own children? What are they saying?
So they enjoy making the cards and the gifts. I have a son who is a good artist, and so he loves to draw the cards, and he makes each one individual. He does not copy one to another, so every kid gets their own card. And so then he also likes to decorate the gift bags. And so what we've done in the past is either they're plain white or they're just like brown paper, and so they're not pre-decorated. And so he likes to do that.
And what do you tell your children about foster children?
I tell them that they are kids in a bad spot, that they need help from their community, they need help from other kids, they need help from other adults, and we should all be looking out for each other. That's what we're here to do.
Thank you, Linda Palco, for volunteering. Appreciate that. Okay, in the couple of minutes we have left, Jamie, what else would you like to share with our audience about foster families and about what they've told you about their needs? I mean, we know the beds, the hygienic items, but what are they telling you? I mean, they probably need support.
They do.
Emotional support as well.
And I shared it earlier that we very much view these foster families as our heroes. And I would be remiss if I didn't sit here and say that folks like Linda, that give us the space, our community of donors, they're our heroes, because we have the opportunity to see them every day, to see their faces light up and the amount of relief that comes in. I had, a mother, and not too long ago, that was able to give their child a pair of brand new tennis shoes, name brand. And she said, I've never been able to do this before. And so to give them that sense of dignity, and then to remind a child again that they're thought of, that they're worthy. Our goal, we're not going to stop until we hit all of those over 3,000 children. We want to make sure that they have what they need, and that's only possible because of the community.
And this community support comes in the form of donations, fundraisers, churches involvement. Tell me a little bit about that.
All of our greatest needs, you can go to the fosteralliance.org. If you are able to provide a cash contribution, that's incredibly helpful. But right now we need the things, right? Linda touched on drives. That is the biggest thing that helps us right now. So toys, pull-ups, shoes, again, new shoes.
Schools do drives, churches do drives,
Yes.
pop-up drives. Tell me.
Yeah, anyone can do. We have incredibly thoughtful individuals that would just think of us when they go to Target, right? Corporations, they can come through, and we have incredible partners like New Senda Credit Union, New Moga, a lot of different areas that are already helping us. But if this mission aligns to you and you'd like to pursue that call, please go to thefosteralliance.org.
And is there some money from the state that comes to the Alliance?
No, we do not receive federal or state funding.
Nothing from children, youth, and families. None of their budget helps.
No, we directly don't get that right now. So we are solely, for the most part, individuals and corporations and foundations. So.
And how has this changed you, Jamie Carlson?
Gosh, how has it not? Right? How has it not? So it's just, it's so fortunate to be able to see these smiles and to know, even just a card, and to get a thank you. So again, how has it not?
And again, how traumatic for these children to be in a situation they cannot be with their biological parents. Mm-hmm. But they know the community loves them and supports them from the work that you do. Thank you so much, both of you, for being part of this program. And thank KCHF TV for bringing this to you. And hopefully this is going to touch your heart as well. Thanks for watching. I'm Diane Kinderwater. Make it a great week with your family. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Issues and Answers with your host Diane Kinderwater is presented as a public service to inform, educate, and better the lives of New Mexicans. To comment on today's program, email us at info@kchftv.org or call us at 505-345-1991. Join us again for Issues and Answers with Diane Kinderwater.